Hello, my fellow fans of the written word, guys and gals, and everyone else. Much more chapters. So let's go over a quick-ish recap. A significant thing that happened in chapters from 5 to 15. Rand is in his room and he is visited by no one else than Lanfear. She goes to him and starts her whole spiel about you are Louis Theron, you were always mine and always will be, you just don't realize it yet. La di da. In the middle of their whole conversation, they are attacked by a grey man, who is quickly killed. But that's just a prelude to the attack on the stone at large. An army of Darkspawn attacks the stone. Murdrolls, Trollocs, you name it. And Rand rushes out, goes on a crazy rampage, and completely forgets about Kalendor and Lanfear and all that. But he has a moment where he is almost killed by a Trolloc. So one of the, I guess, Darkspawn that are on Lanfear's side save him and Matt as well. Matt also had a close encounter. And he is pretty confused by that, but he retrieves the Kalendor because Lanfear warns him about leaving Kalendor aside in the middle of battle. And when he gets that Kalendor in his hands, he truly goes berserk. He starts killing everyone, even those Darkspawn that kind of were responsible for kinda helping, not really. He also has a bit of a meltdown because when he keeps on drawing the power and feeling that he can do more and more, and he's not thinking he's not fast enough, he summons this kind of I wouldn't say summons, he makes this discharge of power, some kind of lightning that strikes every single Dark Friend, Trolloc, Murdroll in the whole area, just disintegrating them. Everyone's shocked, of course, and he encounters a body of a very young girl, and he, in his crude way, starts to or tries to resuscitate her, to heal her, and he can't, and the whole body is just jumping around, and Moraine has to calm him down because he's starting to become hysterical, asking her to heal this girl, blaming himself that he was too slow, just the whole guilt shebang. After that, Elaine and Egwene, they try to reach and teach Rand. They offer their help in learning the channeling. And essentially what I discover is they can almost feel each other, but not really. They can almost follow the process of drawing the power, but there is a kind of fundamental difference, even though there are similarities. But yeah, Egwene is also kind of surprised to find out just how strong Rand is, because there's an instance where he is explaining about fire and how he just draws on fire without thinking it, and when he is done with it, he just reabsorbs it into himself or into other objects without any kind of harm to himself or to the environment around him. And Egwene is kind of shocked because she had a very nasty encounter with fire, but more about that later. What's important in that scene is she kind of makes it official to him that she no longer wants to marry him. Not that it was ever said out loud, but just kind of a semi-arranged marriage in their little Emmonsfield. And well, she says that she's no longer interested in him. She cares about him, but not in a any kind of romantic way. He says the same, even though she's kind of unconvinced. But kind of they go their separate ways. So, and her and Elaine kind of had a sort of an agreement that now Elaine is free to pursue Rand, which she does. She does. Elaine and Rand hook up and just spend a lot of time making out in the halls. But moving on. What's significant is Matt here. So he seeks out Egwene and he asks for an advice, which surprises her because she always saw him, even though he is this jokester and a man-child, she always, I guess, in my opinion, saw him as this very confident guy who would never come for an advice, which he does. He asks for advice about what to do. He's unsure, and she tells him about an existence of this ter'angreal who will grant answers to wishes to anyone who dares to enter, but he is not interested in that. He is more concerned about the gaps in his memories, and he thinks that, or at least he thought that maybe Egwene learned something during her time in the tower that would help him regain his lost memories. Now what? Now what? Let's just switch to Perrin for a bit, because there are a lot of kind of narratives that are going at the same time. So Perrin hears about rumors that White Cloaks are moving on to the Two Rivers. So did Matt. They had a brief chat about that. But he is dead set on returning to Two Rivers and even surrendering himself if it means to save his family and friends down there. So what he tries to do is try to look for rumors and just do anything he can to talk Fail out of following him on that travel, on that road. So he tries to go without her, but in the meantime he is paid a visit by Berlin, who tries to seduce him. He is in this classic compromised position where he stands around without a shirt. He does put a shirt, to be fair, later, but Berlin comes to him with an intent to just ask him to deliver a message to Rand because she's leaving, and he is, and I'm proud of him having none of it. It's like, I'm not a servant, and you can surely find someone to deliver a message, or, you know, princess, you can do it yourself. And she kind of starts coming on to him, trying to seduce him, and then Fail enters the room, and they storm off, both of them, and Fail then has a confrontation with Berlin, which was very exhausting. It was like a cat fight almost. But a fun thing happens when Ruark splits them and punishes them both. He takes away Fail's knives and sends Berlin to her room without the dinner, essentially like a small brat. Then Perrin goes and figures out that he needs Loyal's help to navigate the ways in order to reach the Two Rivers in time. So he goes there, and Fail tricks Loyal into promising her uh, to her that she must go with them. And even though it was a promise made on false impressions, he, as true Ogier, agrees to fulfill that promise. But in a strike of, I don't know, good faith, if you can call it that, Rand asks for a couple of Aiel to accompany them. So it's no longer a suicidal mission as Perrin initially thought. They do now have a normal winning chance of repelling the forces of White Cloaks from Two Rivers. So off they go. Back in Egwene land, she enters a world of dreams again using her ter'angreal. Sorry, no. She goes there without the ter'angreal. It's just dreams. And there she flies around, which is a bit goofy, but okay, whatever, it's a dream. She meets an Aiel woman, Aiel wise one named Emis, I think. And she quickly learns that this Emis lady is someone who was a dreamer as herself. She finds out that there have been a long time without an Aes Sedai dreamer, and she is someone who trains dreamers, and she summons her to the Aiel Wastes, so to Tanchico. And off Egwene goes. So, all that's left is Matt. And our dear Matt, he does say he's not interested in any kind of ter'angreal shenanigans, but he goes through this gates to this weird realm of snake people. And there he is given, in his opinion, nonsensical answers, because he will live and die again, and he must go somewhere called Rudian, and he is destined to marry someone called Daughter of Nine Moons, all cryptic and stuff. But the whole thing starts to kind of give in. He is found by Rand, and then both of them get a chewing out by Moraine. But none of them kind of reveal where did they learn. Well, they do. Matt doesn't. Moraine demands to know, where did you find out the actual truth details about this ter'angreal and answers that you can receive if you ask? And Rand is like, well, I read it in these books. He provides citations like a true scholar and a gentleman he is. To these travels and this diaries and this and this chapters, this and that. And Matt is like, sure, I read a book or two. I know how to read. You'd be surprised what you can find out. And Moraine's like, whatever, but if you want any help in trying to decipher what you found out there, do call. And he's like, nah, I'm good. Questions. Now, I have a question which is like probably more of a question at large about the entirety series and probably the series at large. Several characters notice Rand's and comment on Rand's erratic behavior, his mood swings. So my question is, will he go mad eventually? Is that unavoidable? Or is he just really desperate at this point in time? Because it seems to me that it's the latter. But there is a quote by him. he says, "I rule now, I will teach them," in a very stern, aggressive voice, referring to lords. So, I would never say that Rand is power hungry. I don't think he is, not consciously. I don't think he is a power hungry person. So, also a question regarding Lanfear. Another quote: "Turnings of the wheel passed me by," referring to her, well, being around when Lewis Terran was originally. So, and she also mentioned that dreams are her domain multiple times during the series. So, if dreams are her domain, does she refer to dream world as well? If she is referring to dream world as well, does she mean she has full control over it? Because there are dreamers around, people like Egwene, people like the Aiel Wise Ones. They frolic around the dream world all the time, and she does nothing. And how is it that she was existing outside the wheel? I'm sorry if that's a stupid question, but when she was talking to Balsamon, she mentioned that she was cut off from the world of dreams, but then she says the world of dreams are her domain. Does that mean that existing in dream world means existing outside the wheel? Can you exist outside the wheel? Is there such a thing? If you are outside the wheel, are you outside of creator's grasp? But maybe that's just me being too metaphysical. No more questions. However, let's list the things that I enjoyed, because there are quite a bit of things that I enjoyed, like the mechanics of one power, true power. I enjoy when my understanding is deepened, because, well, I now know that there are different disciplines centered around elements loosely. I'm not too sure about what's the deal with the spirit aspect of true power, but I'm interested in learning more. I'm eager to learn more. For example, Rand, we know that fire is his strongest discipline of power, or at least it's the one that comes the easiest to him. But then again, a lot of things he does, all of the things he does, because there's no one to teach him, is purely instinctive. And one thing I forgot to mention, when Lanfear and Rand have their conversation, she offers a Forsaken trainer, and he's not interested in that. But yeah, I do like that, because maybe it's a preference that Rand uses fire. Maybe it's just a fact of him being the Dragon Reborn. I mean, the fact that he can just reabsorb power, for example. Maybe that just has to do something with him being a male channeler, because there is apparently a fundamental difference. Like air and earth, I think, are the easiest disciplines for women channelers, and for men it's fire and, I don't know, spirit. So another thing that I really enjoyed, I think Lanfear as a whole is overall the best foil to Rand so far. Even putting her attempts to seduce Rand aside, and the whole thing with him being her reincarnated lover and all that, just the way she's written. Because at the end of the day, she's not a faceless Dark One figure. She's a character. a well-rounded character. Dark One is more of like a face of nature. I mean, he is, I guess, Satan equivalent of that world. And he opposes the creator and everything in the creation, the wheel, the time, everything. So while Lanfear is someone who did sell and would sell everything for more power, but she has enough about her to stand out. So that's good, because we no longer have Padan Fain around. Well, we do. I do strongly think that the guy who advises the White Cloaks is Padan Fain, but he is not in the story that much, is he? Just on a general note, Rand's display of power, especially when he disintegrated that last Murdrol with true power, that was very visceral. But to be fair, again, as gratuitous as it was, and it was a bit, Robert Jordan still managed to balance it out with a genuine scene of horrors of war. I mean, the battlefield scenes are always done really well, without a fail. And the scene with the girl, when Rand fails to heal her, she's already dead, and he is just desperate and distressed. That's kudos to Robert Jordan. On a more fun note, Ruark putting Fail and Berlane in place was mighty good, I must say. Also, I think that Robert Jordan has a thing for countdowns, because Ruark did the same kind of countdown to 3 that Nynaeve did to Gavin, I think, some time ago. As if dismissing a petulant child, I'm counting to 3, and the petulant child in question would try to object, and he would go 2, and you get what I'm saying. It was really fun. Also, as a last point, I'm just every now and then I'm reminded that this is a high fantasy series in the fullest sense of the word. There is a lot of magic in it, sure, but there's more to high fantasy than magic. For example, there are fantasy races, like snake people existing in another planes of existence that feed on sensations, apparently. That's a thing. That's imaginable. Imaginative. Yes. So, that was that. On to things I didn't like all that much. Several points. Let's start with a lighter note. I did not dislike this entirely, but I'm just amused by Egwene's high opinion of herself. Rand is taking this surprisingly well. Yes, Egwene, you are so irresistible and important, and just on top of the priority list in Rand's head. He is obsessing over you. I mean, to be fair, he is thinking of her, but tone it down a bit, Egwene. But that's not really a negative point. What is a negative point is just the whole melodrama with who's gonna marry who, and Egwene mulling around in her head about maybe I did the wrong thing. Apparently, Aiel women can marry in a marriage that has 2 wives and 1 husband. And Avienda teaches her about wonders of bigamy and la-di-da, or should I have done this? Oh, woe is me. Romance in books is great. I'm not opposed to romance in books in the slightest. I just don't like teenage melodrama, and these characters are not really teenagers anymore. They're still young, that much is true, but they're not teens. So, but then again, it's not like when you're an adult, you automatically stop being hormonal and behave rationally. So that's there's already that as well. On that subject, Fail. Boy oh boy. Anguished declarations of war and homicidal rage towards your perceived rival in your pursuit of a man who you already have. That's just not a good look. I mean, Perrin was not interested in Berlane to begin with, so cool your engines, Fail. He's a human being. That also goes for you, Berlane. He's not a piece of meat. All of you have much larger problems than this. So tone it down, please. One other thing, and it's a minor thing, but still. Rand is sometimes super dense. Maybe too dense, especially when he's talking to Lanfear, and he still didn't figure out that Celine was Lanfear this whole time. Honestly, I completely forgot about that. I thought at this point that he already knew that he, if not, out loud, he did add two and two together, and he was like, ah, yes, Lanfear. That she is one of the Forsaken, because just not enough things about her add up. Come on, Rand, you're a smart dude. Think with your head. Last criticism I have. Perrin. Perrin, I'm going home to get hanged, Abara. Put away your Evanescence shirt and stop being an emo for a sec. I do genuinely love Perrin as a character, but he was being a bit too dramatic. Ask your friends for help. Yes, they did kind of say that they're busy, but ask people for help. Don't be so dramatic. And our last segment, as always, is predictions.
Well, it's only a guess, but it's all I have to go on.
Predictions. So everything screams about Rand going to Aiel Wastes. So I guess it is pretty obvious that he will go there. There was also something in the beginning about there being a tribe of Aiel that is not a tribe, and something about there being a chieftain. So I guess it is his fate to go there and maybe reunite the tribes or something like that. There was nothing about White Tower, at least not when it comes to the conspiracy thing. So I'm guessing it will happen more toward the middle or the end, but it will happen. I guess it is obvious that Fail will accompany Baron, and no, he will not sacrifice himself. This is not a suicidal mission. He will go full Beastmaster mode and decimate White Cloaks in some kind of daring maneuver. He is a character who likes to think before he acts, so I have full confidence that he will come up with a plan. He is man with a plan, our parent. He is. So Egwene will go to the Aiel side as well. Will she go with Rand? Maybe. I think there is a close possibility. My last prediction is not a prediction because I have no idea what will Matt do. But Thom is nearby, and I do think that he is brewing something. Now the question is Thom playing the court game because he is finding this entertaining, or he is playing to help Rand? And that's about it for today. Thank you very much for watching. And thank you for keeping watching, guys, because this whole let's read thing was an experiment. So seeing more than 0 views every time I post a new video is really encouraging. This is a really lo-fi production, and I'm just trying to understand and fully delve into the absolute behemoth of the genre that Wheel of Time is. So, see you next time, and hope you have a nice time.